ever live Q&A. The tower behind me here in Kuala Lumpur, the lights have just gone out. You can maybe just see it over my shoulder. To let you see, the time is just gone after midnight, and this probably lines up best with most of my UK viewers. I've got a series of questions. Thank you to everybody who left me a comment on my past video just detailing what 31 days was like here living in the city. But before that, let's just quickly recap. My name is John. In January of this year, I posted a video to my YouTube channel talking about how I'd lost my job. My father had really recently passed away and I was feeling a bit ill, a bit under the weather, having some health issues. And I talked about just looking for a change. And 10 months later, I'm now sitting here in Kuala Lumpur, having sold everything that I had, my wife and I, all of our possessions, and ultimately relocated right now to Malaysia. And so I'm sitting here ready to take questions and answer what I've already got on my phone. And this is just quite exciting. This is a live experience and being able to chat to you. So if you are logging in on the chat, let me have a little look and I'll see how I can chat to you and I can give you some shout outs. So Marina, welcome. Julie, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Project Weaver, hello. Justin Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks everybody for getting on board so early. Mark, good evening to you. Thanks very much. All right. Let me dive into some of these questions and I'll run through them. Sometimes when I'm making videos, I try and cover the topics as best as I can, and I do a lot of them off the top of my head. Sometimes I miss context out of some points that I want to kind of make, and then I read some of these comments and I think, oh yeah, I should cover that. And videos just come round pretty quickly. So I thought I would answer some of these first and then I can take some questions from you in the live chat, all right? So I had a question from Anne who had just a really simple point. Do you plan on visiting other places in Malaysia? And the simple answer to that is yes, that's exactly the goal. Let me kind of lay this out a little bit. Yvonne and I, my wife and I, I'm 47, Yvonne is 48. She's slightly older than me. We have a number of months of a gap between us. And we have researched relocating to Malaysia and what that's like in other territories. And most of them typically have a 50-year-old retirement age. And so when we started thinking about exiting the UK, we were thinking, well, we either need to go through some kind of employment style contract or we are too young to hit the retirement visa. And so we kind of settled on the idea of being digital nomads. So really the kind of plan for us at this stage was to come out to Malaysia and spend some time here and then start to move around other territories till we found somewhere that we liked. We've always had an idea of visiting Thailand, also Vietnam, some other areas, Cambodia. And so we weren't sure where we would want to end up. And so the discussion between us was, well, why don't we just move around and we'll see what we like? And so that kind of created the point of thinking, well, where do we start? Where do we go first? Where's the kind of jumping off point? And ultimately that was here in Malaysia. And one of the key reasons that we picked this territory, or a couple of reasons, was we liked the idea of Kuala Lumpur as a city. When we researched it, it seemed pretty safe. Another key point was that a few small things like English is really regularly spoken here. They use the same plug sockets that we do in the UK. They drive on the same side of the road. So there was a couple of points there for us that we thought, well, there's a little bit of comfort in that, especially going so far away from home. But also, you can travel here on a tourist visa for 90 days before you have to leave the territory. So you have 3 months here before you have to effectively exit and travel somewhere else. And so we thought, well, that gives us a chance to kind of bed in a little bit, just adjust to things like the temperature coming from, well, Glasgow as we left. And so that's why we kind of picked this area. So there was a few reasons there, just a bit of a comfort factor. There was the visa aspect of it, and it could kickstart our nomad style lifestyle that we wanted to adopt until we get to 50 years old and have then the ability to potentially apply for a retirement visa. So the question from Anne, do we plan on travelling around the other areas of Malaysia? Absolutely. We've got some points, some areas that we want to go and visit. But I would say the last couple of weeks of arriving here and then having ill health meant that it's kind of scuppered our travel plans a little bit, in that I haven't been able to travel too far. I've been kind of stuck quite close to the apartment that we're staying in, just from a health perspective. My kidney hasn't really been, although it's in recovery phase, it isn't 100%. So I've found moving around a little bit at times can be a bit challenging. So we very much want to do that. And I'm hoping next week when I go back into the hospital and have this second procedure, I can kind of see an end game, hopefully, from a health perspective that can kind of get us back on track. So that was a question from Anne. Let me just quickly skip through and see what's in the comments. Do you have a portfolio? So Jack, do you have a portfolio that you're using to live on, and what does that look like? Great question. Yes, I do have a portfolio. What does that look like? Well, without going into the exact number that's attached to it, I'll say this. I have a couple of stocks that I started buying when the lockdown kicked in, when 2020 came around and I found myself at home. I started to kind of develop an interest in the stock market, and I started finding and looking for a couple of companies that I found interesting, and I've bought into those. I was made redundant twice, two businesses. The first one, I was working at British Gas, and the second one, I don't want to mention that business. But I was made redundant twice. From the first one at British Gas, which came at the end of 2020, I invested the money that I got. I was there for 4 years. It's a British company. I was made redundant under British terms and conditions, so it wasn't any crazy kind of package. But the small amount of money that I got, I invested in those companies. And it has been a tough hold on those. They have really struggled for a while. However, over the last year, 18 months, they've started to come quite good. And in that time, what I've also learned is I've spent quite a bit of time understanding other aspects of the stock market. So I have learned how to write options contracts. So I do that as a kind of side project. I take the position of the bank in that, and I write cash secured puts, and I also write cover calls on the couple of stocks that I know quite well. I don't generally go outside of those parameters. I have maybe 3 to 4 companies that I'm really interested in. I have a very small crypto holding that is effectively just on hold. I have some savings that I've put. I have some that sits in a cash interest account that I want to kind of talk about in future videos as well. So I have a little bit of money on Chase Bank right now, which is paying, they have a bonus structure where they're paying an extra 1% interest for the first year. So I have some money that's sitting earning a little bit on that. And I have an ISA that I've topped out with Trading 212. So I have a stocks and shares ISA. I initially opened that as a cash ISA, and then I've transitioned into investing in the same 3-4 companies when they've had a bit of a pullback over the last couple of months, and those have done okay so far as well. So yes, one thing I want to say about all of this, about the move that started to tick in my head recently, was that I see a lot of videos on YouTube about starting a YouTube channel, coming out here and living on the YouTube channel. I want to be really, really clear that the YouTube channel is it's kind of like a hobby slash job for me. I love making this content. Haven't enjoyed doing this kind of job as much as I have doing this versus anything else in my career so far. So all the sales roles, this I love doing. I love talking to you, building this community and kind of teaching as I go along. But I see a lot of YouTube videos where they talk about, come out here and live on $500 or $1,000 and do that in Thailand and everything else. And I don't want to portray that you can just come out here and do that, because I've already seen people struggle to do that. So I've tried to build 3 or 4 revenue streams that I feel comfortable enough at. And it's not to say that there's no risk attached to all of this. I sold all of our possessions in order to have additional money to put into those investments to create some kind of regular revenue. And in this first month, I would say I'm somewhere around breaking even. I'm not trying to turn a huge business out of this. I'm just trying to get enough that Yvonne and I can avoid working and at the same time relax a little bit, given how difficult things have been over the last couple of years with redundancies and people passing away. So I hope that kind of answers that question. Let me see what else I've got here. You should do more videos on, so Paul, you should do more videos on how you trade strategies. Yeah, I intend to. I find when trying to make videos here that I like the way that my brain works at times, I can get quite overwhelmed with my own ideas and strategies, and I have to try and scale back at times, like how quickly I can get into some of these topics, because when I started the channel, I wanted to talk about like life and the struggles, and then also, it felt like the last 9 months from January till September and leaving just kind of went by like that. It felt at times like it was wading through mud, trying to sell things and all the issues that came with eBay and Vinted and all those kind of things. It just didn't quite feel right at the time to talk about, hey, investments and strategies and all those kind of things. And I always had it in my mind that when we got away and we were then settled and we were in somewhere like where we are now, in this apartment, in this city, there would be more time to then sit down and talk about some of these topics and give you more information on them. So that's kind of always been my goal moving forward. But it felt confusing to me at the time, where if I'm telling you about selling things and trying to move on with life and exit the UK, that I would be talking about strategies and those kind of things. So I do intend to. Let's see, Craig Perks. John, not sure if you've mentioned before, but how long do you think you'll end up travelling for? And do you think, where do you think you'll end up? Yeah, so how long do we intend on travelling for? We have a completely open schedule on that. The answer there is, I think mentally for Yvonne, who's only recently gone out on a sabbatical from her job and still has that other side to deal with, whether that's going back to that job or redundancy in that job, not quite sure. But for me, I feel like we're out here now. I would say that, of course, it's very early days. We're in the first month, right? We've just done 31 days. I haven't thought about home. I want to word that right. I haven't missed home. I think about home. I see what's going on with digital IDs and the government and the news and everything else, and I watch all of that from afar, and I think, God, it's just, the country is just slipping and slipping and slipping. It doesn't make me want to rush back in any way whatsoever. It makes me just want to continue on this journey. The only things that would change there is the money situation. Like, am I balancing the books effectively? Am I managing the budgets that we've got? And I would say this month we probably spent a bit more than we had kind of planned. But it wasn't to any degree that I was like, oh my God, panic, like what we're going to do. It was more just like, we could eat cheaper and we could find a cheaper accommodation somewhere. As I mentioned in that last video, we picked a quite nice hotel apartment in the city because we just wanted to bed in, and then we recognised we can make this cheaper. We can make this cheaper from there. So in Malaysia, starting here was really just that jumping off point that from here we can get to Thailand, Vietnam, Bali, all very easily. One of the questions that I had from comments was, how far ahead are you thinking about your travel? I can tell you that coming here, we're on a tourist visa of 3 months, and when we left the UK on the 17th of September, we already had Dubai, followed by Kuala Lumpur, followed by the next destination, followed by an exit from that destination and onto the next location. Now, look, I sometimes think people think I'm trying to hide stuff on this channel when I don't go into all the detail, and there was never really any agenda to be like, this is a super secret. It kind of just ended up that way. It wasn't really planned, but I'll tell you here on the live chat, we are here for 2 months, and then we leave and we will go to Bangkok and we will stay in Thailand next, and then we will be traveling back here to Malaysia before Christmas and New Year, and we haven't picked where we'll stay at that point. So I can tell you that we have a flight out of here and stay for 21 days in Thailand, and a return back here before Christmas and New Year so that we could relax here. But we don't have any destination picked here. We don't have any accommodation. I have the flights and I have everything else that goes around that, like just understanding the visas, entry, exit times, but not any accommodation beyond all of that. So there wasn't really any secret with any of that. It was just kind of became a little bit fun at times because the occasional person was a bit miffed that we weren't telling them. If I could do anything again around that, I would probably just tell you up front and be a bit clearer, especially around trying to live this nomad lifestyle, because I think I could have probably made a bit more content out of that for people that are interested in trying to live that way, this moving around. And if I was to say if there was any mistakes that I've made so far on this, I think we've got it right staying here, this location, for 1 month. When we initially booked it, I booked 2 months, and we cancelled the second month because we felt it's probably enough time here for 1 month before we moved to another location, because we've just kind of had enough of this apartment in this building. We've kind of seen enough of it. So that I kind of got wrong at the beginning, but was able to correct it without losing any money or anything, and find another location, and the next location is actually cheaper than here. And yeah, I would probably just specify a bit more that we're living this nomad lifestyle. And on that 2 months here, we probably could have went somewhere else after a month. However, it's really worked in my favour because of the health situation, because I need to see this surgeon and get this surgery done, which would have been a nightmare to move flights and everything if we had just been staying here for a month. So that kind of worked out pretty well. Victoria House, hello Victoria, nice to hear from you. I was thinking about you. Victoria was actually the person that I gave the first prize to, which was me giving back to the community, and I never actually got around to telling anybody about this, but Victoria messaged me and said that she was given the gift that I gave her to a friend of hers who had just had a baby, and that meant that that person could get something for the baby, which I can't remember the name of the movie. I think it's called Pass It Forward or Pay It Forward or something. Is that Kevin Spacey? It kind of reminded me of the Kevin Spacey thing. But thanks for the comment on being brave and kind of doing all of this. Yeah, it's been a lot to kind of take it all on board and sell everything. But honestly, I don't miss anything in the UK. I don't miss anything. I'm looking at the news and I'm just like, this feels feels a bit wild, and Yvonne kind of feels the same. She's just, we've been able to just relax. If I could say one thing, no, my head's just gone completely blank at what I was going to say there. You're missing many questions from the start of the chat, Bali. I know, I can't keep up. I can't, it's trying to chat to you at the same time and also read out the comments whilst I'm giving you detail. But let me scroll back and let me pick up a few from earlier on in the chat here, right? So I can jump back a little bit. Let me see what I've got in here. I've got a lot of hellos. What time is it there, John from Bali? It's just after, let me show you, it's just after midnight. There you go, it's 20 past 12. I'm trying to keep my voice down a little bit because again, things that you learn when you come out here, right? This hotel, the walls are pretty thin and you tend to hear a lot. You hear a lot. Okay, let me see what else is going on in here. Can you do a future video on visa applications and costs, please? Yeah, of course. I mean, let me say this. We are traveling Nomad. We have no intentions for now to stay anywhere longer than tourist visas. So Malaysia here is 90 days before you need to exit. Thailand is 2 months. Vietnam is 45 days. And Bali is 30 days. And our goal is to rotate round those territories and fly in and fly out. Now, I mentioned on the past video that we spent £1,000 to get from Glasgow to Dubai to here. We are leaving here to go to Thailand, and the flight was like £150 for the two of us. So it's super cheap in your monthly or 2 month or 3 month budget that you're building up. The one thing that I'm already regretting and Yvonne has done today was we're getting rid of clothes. We've got too much stuff with us. Even though we've got 2 medium-sized bags with us, it's too much. I'm living in probably 3 to 5 t-shirts, 1 shirt, and mainly shorts. And I've got too much stuff, and Yvonne has trimmed back as well. So we could get that down. It would be amazing if we could get it down to 1 bag. But the flight from here to Thailand was £300 return, right? So from here to Thailand and back here again with 2 suitcases is £300. So, yeah, and I'm just reading from Tickety Blue there about the border run. Yeah, I mean, people that we've kind of researched with will book, because sometimes the immigration, they want to see that you have an outward bound travel booked, which is why we had kind of booked here, then Thailand, then back here again, already in advance. They want to see that at immigration. However, when we arrived here, that was, nobody asked. But I have heard from people that it can be a question at immigration. And the way that many people do it is they just book a bus, which you can do for about £10. And so you can get here and then you can either cancel that or change it. We kind of wanted to tie our plans in a little bit more. So we had already booked that trip to Thailand, which we'll do after another month here. So it's gone Friday now. We leave this accommodation on Saturday and move to another accommodation that's slightly cheaper than where we are now. Now, I mentioned in the last video that this was £770. That was actually quite expensive for even just this accommodation, because it was Diwali on Monday, so there were a lot of Indian tourists here celebrating, and so the prices were a little bit elevated. And also on Saturday, Donald Trump and Xi Jinping are arriving here in Malaysia for a kind of president's conference. So some of the city is in lockdown. So we've kind of tried to look about how we'll get around, because we need to move accommodation and then I need to go to the hospital. So we're kind of winging that part a little bit. Len's Hands, been following you since you started this channel. I will be in Thailand on the 15th of November, all part of the Escape from the UK. Awesome, great. I wish you the best on that trip over there. We arrive after that, so we can try and align dates. In terms of Yvonne and I here, I don't know, I've seen some people mentioning, there's another channel that I've followed for a while, a Scottish guy, Edinburgh guy called Daryl Solis. We met up with Daryl a couple of days ago, which was super nice, just to chat. We sat in a mall, a local mall here. The malls are incredible. The food and just the experience and the culture is like, it's just incredible compared to the UK. Super safe, very plush. No vape shops, no Ladbrokes. No vape shops, no Ladbrokes, no pound stores, like nice stores. And we went there, met Daryl, and we also met another UK person, Kirsty, who's come out here, and we met another guy from Edinburgh, Michael. So we had a nice little table of 4 Scots and a Gloucestershire lass sitting having coffee for the afternoon, which was nice to do. And I think we were there for about 4 hours, and I'll tell you, see, at the end of it, I was like mentally drained, because the only talking I've done has been on these videos and Yvonne and I just kind of hanging out. But beyond that, it was quite intense to be sitting with people all chatting about our experiences here. But it was lovely. It was very welcoming from other fellow travellers and YouTubers as well. So that was really cool. Let me skip back and I'll see what else I can pick up on in here. Let's see what else I've got. In terms of like, let me see, UK is a failure society and economically, Ali. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that point. I'm shocked at kind of what I see going on in the UK. It was there, there was many reasons to want to leave, and it was kind of like death by 1,000 cuts in some respects. It's like just Yvonne and I living in Northampton, being away from home for jobs, and those jobs kind of coming to an end. And then beyond that, trying to think about whether we would go back into work and whether we wanted to live there. And we rented that property, so we didn't feel any ties to it. So we always knew that it wasn't really our home. And we always kind of wanted this adventure. Then with my dad passing away, it was like we had talked about going back to Scotland for a while. So there was lots of different reasons to want to do something different. But I don't look at the country and think, yeah, this is really a place that I want to put effort into, that I want to carry on working for and pay my tax into and see the benefits of it, because I don't see any of that happening. Tim Morton, came across your channel a few months ago and really love it. Very informative. Thanks, I appreciate that. As I was kind of touching on at the beginning of this video, I see a lot of channels that kind of talk about relocating, and I see some really honest channels, and I see some where I see gaps in terms of what they kind of tell you. And I've always, I built my career in sales just being the way that you kind of hopefully see me on this channel. What I say, I deliver on. If I had customers and clients that I've worked with over the years, if I said I was going to get something done, I did it. And that's how I kind of just started this channel, being honest about it. So I can just kind of share with you the experiences we've gone through. And so that last video, everything that I'd spent, that was it. That was the costs. That was every penny that we had. I had tapped a card on, lifted cash, paid a bill. That was it. So when I look back on that and I think about how much it cost to get here, flights £1,000, I think that seems pretty cheap to me. I mean, granted, it's not a return flight, right? So, but then £770 to stay here. And tomorrow I'll make a video to show you what the facilities are like, and I'll talk about what's been really good here and what's kind of missed the mark a little bit. But what we like about this is that we're able to just float around. And there was some questions from viewers about tax, right? Now, this is a point. You know, the question about how long do I plan on travelling for, let me say this. I have filed the documentation with HMRC to confirm that I'm not coming back. So if you wanted a confirmation as to how long I plan on staying away for, it's it's enough to tell HMRC that I'm gone from the country. And my reasons for doing that is that because I have investments and because I'm earning from here on YouTube, I've had enough of paying into the UK system. I've had enough of seeing our money get literally just peed up against the wall. And I just feel absolutely worn out by all of that. As I've talked about in career videos and earnings videos, you know, jobs paying 62% tax, that crazy tax bracket that you hit when suddenly you lose your tax-free allowance and then you're also paying your national insurance on top, that's 62%. I don't mind paying into a system when you feel the benefits, but I had such a shock in the hospital last year when I needed medical treatment of how poorly I felt I was treated, that I was like, where's my money going? And so now as we travel around as Nomad, one of the benefits there is that although tax here in Malaysia is incredibly low, I don't plan on paying tax in any of those territories because we're not staying in any of them long enough to hit a tax threshold. And when we do eventually get to a position of retirement age, and whether that's retire in Thailand or whether that's retire here or whatever we decide to do, at that point, I'll then think about the structure of how we'll pay tax in those markets. But here it's so low, right? And again, we came from Dubai where it was incredibly low, but we're just, where is the money going in the UK? Isn't it funny that so when does Rachel Reeves does the next policy, what is it, the 26th of November? And she's going to come and ask for more money, right? Have you ever heard of a year when the chancellors came and been like, you know what, we're going to take things down a little bit because we've got plenty of money? It never happens. They just take and take and take and take, and it's going to be pay per mile, and it's going to be, you know, whatever they introduce. And you just look around and you're like, where is it all going? All right, let me skip back a little bit. So 333 CASA. So I have completed a document called a P85 form, which officially tells the UK government that I've left the country with no plans on returning. So at that point, I am no longer beholden to any tax in the UK. I earn my salary from YouTube, which is paid from a US organisation. And so I am technically earning from an American company that goes into a UK bank account, but my application for the P85 will go through. I checked it yesterday, the status was being reviewed. Once that's completed, I have to provide evidence as to when I left. So I have flights out of the country on the 17th of March. I no longer own any property, so I have no ties to the UK. I have a care of address, which I've moved our bank accounts to, which is Yvonne's parents' home. But beyond that, we have no fixed address. And so there will be no tax structure for me to pay in the UK. If I was to stay here in Malaysia for more than 180 days, I would become a tax resident here. But my plan is to only be here for a number of months in a 12-month period, and relocating then to Thailand, to Bali, to Vietnam, and never overstaying to the point of hitting a tax threshold. So there's some interesting ways that you can kind of manage your finances. So what that then means is any profits that I make on stocks and shares, there's no capital gains tax to be paid because I'm not a resident anywhere. The only thing I have to pay tax on would be interest on cash in an interest bank account in the UK. That's the only part. But a very good friend of mine said a great phrase, which is cash in the bank is, I'll say it, cash in the bank is wank. I don't sit on a lot of cash. It's invested, so that I don't have to try and think too much about that cash investments. Let me see, let me skip here. Hi, great channel, John. Like the approach and honesty. Hope you're on the mend. Do you plan on having a UK state pension later down the line? You still have access to your UK state pension, even though you've left, as far as I've researched on this. I'm completely paid up to date on the pension. Look, I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not a pension advisor. I'm just doing my kind of own research as I go. I have 2 private pensions, and Yvonne has her pension as well, and then I have my cash sitting outside of all of that. So I need to do a little bit more research on the state pension, but as far as I understand it, I have paid it up to date, and even though I'm out of the country from that perspective, I can top it up in future years. Let's see what else I've got on here. Let's get back. If you have your YouTube earnings paid into a UK bank account, do you pay tax? No, you don't, because I've officially told I can hold a bank account in the UK. I have a care of address. I've notified the banks that I've officially left. I have a Revolut account. I have a Co-op account. I have a Halifax account. I have a Chase bank account. I have a Monzo account. I have all of those that I use for different reasons. Revolut and Monzo for travelling. The Chase bank account because it's paying a higher rate of interest on some cash that I have sitting there for a small amount of time that I move around when I need it. The Co-op account was just my general account, which now has like 100 quid in it or something. My Halifax account I had open, which I've had for years, and it's got pennies in it. I basically have them if I need to move money around. I've had a couple of issues with Revolut where I've been moving sums of money. Like when I got my redundancy, I moved money into my own ISA and I moved money into Yvonne's ISA. Again, Rachel Reeves, right? So in the UK, you get a £20,000 a year ISA that you can pay into. That's what it's capped as. I believe at the next Chancellor meeting that might get adjusted down to like 3. So with my redundancy from the last job, I maxed out mine and I maxed out Yvonne's for this year, so that was already taken care of. But when I was moving money from Revolut, they freaked out and withheld it for like 24 hours and asked me a whole series of questions like where did the money come from, and I had to provide paperwork and everything for it. So that just kind of switched my brain on a little bit about having some other options. So I have a Monzo account, I have a Chase bank account just now. So I'm kind of moving stuff around on there. Let me see. So Gary, do you know even as a non-UK resident you can pay £2,880 into a UK pension and have it grossed up to? Yeah, that's really good advice. Yes, thanks for letting me know on that. I have 2 private pensions that I've had from past jobs. My first major job was with a company called Scottish Power Energy Company. I have a final salary pension that's been sitting with them. I left them decades ago, but it's still sitting there and I've never moved it because any advisor I spoke to said, do not move a final salary pension. And then I have another pension which was an amalgamation of 3 or 4 jobs that I rolled into one. So I have somebody there that kind of reaches out to me from time to time and just lets me know what I need to do with that. Let me see what else I can ask. Joan, I'm sick of the UK. I nursed for 30 years. I've hurt my back now on Joan. You know, when I talk about the NHS, it's such a difficult topic because I get the people who are like, the NHS is amazing, you need to leave off of this topic. And then I hear from so many people that just feel absolutely scunnered by it. They just feel just getting let down by it. And that's my experience. When my dad went into hospital last year, I didn't know he'd been hiding stuff about that. He'd been seeing a couple of different departments. And when I kind of stitched it all together, I felt super disappointed at how they'd handled it all. And even in the last hours that he had, when he then eventually passed and I had left and he came back, I didn't have a good feeling about it all. And so I try and kind of temper down my frustrations. I'll tell you this, right? I'll tell you this. This is a live. This is a live exclusive. I'm not going to be able to show you this because it's got a PIN number on it, right? But I just got a text message from the NHS Northampton Hospital, where I've been waiting all of this time for treatment. They've sent me a text message saying, we need to speak to you, click on this link. Clicked on the link and it takes me to a web page that says, are you feeling any better? Can we refer you back to your doctor? Or do you still need treatment? Oh man, you know, I had a bit of a debate with some people about coming out here and spending money to pay for the treatment here, which I've paid out of my pocket. I have insurance. I'm having a discussion with the insurance about that medical treatment, which will take me some time to resolve, but I've paid for it. But I'll tell you what, see, for the money that I've paid, the treatment that I've got has been incredible. See, when you go into a ward here, the nurses are just so friendly, they're quiet. Yvonne and I went to the hospital on Saturday to ask to speak to the surgeon because I needed some documentation from him. And I met a nurse in the corridor and she was like, oh, I remember you from the other day. She says, what can I help you with? And I said, I need to see the doctor. And she was like, he's just left. Come back on Tuesday and come at 9:30 and I'll get you in to see him, right? And I was like, do I need an appointment? She was like, no, just come back on Tuesday at 9:30. Well, I left the hospital and I was like to Yvonne, if this is Northampton General, I'm never seeing that woman again and she'll not remember on Tuesday, so let's see how this goes. I walked in there on Tuesday and she was like, hello John, come with me. It took me straight down and I was straight into the room with the doctor and he was like, what can I help you with? I told him and they did everything that I asked straight away, documentation, paperwork, everything else. And I walked out of there and I looked at Yvonne. I was in there for about 30 minutes and I walked out, no appointment, no charge, just dealt with me like a human. And I was like, we are getting shafted in the UK. We are getting shafted. Granted, it's paid, right? So you go in, you go to the desk, you scan a QR code, gives you a ticket number, and then you get called to a desk. And then when you go to the desk, they, right, what do you need? What are you doing? Oh, I need admittance or I need an appointment. Like, I waited months for a CT scan and I came here and I was in and out in an hour for the CT scan and it cost me, I think, about £170. What would you rather have? Months of waiting or pay 170 quid and get it done? Right, let me see some of the other questions I've got on here. So I'm being a bit fair to the people. So Matt Dillon, who had asked, do you see yourself staying in Malaysia for the 2 months here and then we'll leave, go to Thailand and then we'll return again, and then at that point we're not quite sure. How far ahead are you and Yvonne planning? Well, I mentioned we've kind of already had this part and the next part already organised. Hola, good evening to Spain that's watching. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining us. Anne had asked, would you and Yvonne consider settling down in Asia? Yep, absolutely. Once we feel like we kind of know where we like in the areas that we like. Right now, it's kind of like as a smorgasbord, just kind of trying things out and seeing what we like and what we enjoy. You know, we haven't come out here with the mindset of being on holiday. We've came out here to live, and that has kind of really changed how we're handling this situation. And I've met a few people that are kind of like, oh, it's been a bit overwhelming, the adjusting culture and everything else. And I think if you come out and your goal is to like try and do things like you're on a 2-week holiday, that's a very different mindset. Like, we are just here living. When my goal, I've talked on the channel before, right, about having these kind of ideas, visions, you know, Yvonne and I standing arm in arm outside the front of the house, waving that goodbye. That was a big one for me. I kind of had one where it was just being able to get up in the morning at like 9, 10 o'clock, go and get a coffee, and then sit and kind of make a video and, you know, relax into the afternoon, watch a bit of TV, read a book, then go out in the evening and have a bite to eat. That's what life has been like for us. It's not been trying to chase every tourist trap thing, you know, go see every, oh, you must see this, you must see that. It's like, just, I'll tell you what I'm missing. The pool, I can't get in the pool because I've got this stent fitted and the doctor was like, don't get in the pool. I was enjoying going for a morning swim or an evening swim, and I'm just having to be patient on that. But that's kind of like my goal. Sit and sip a coffee, just relax. Like, life has just been so, for years, chasing the grind, trying to earn more money because the government's taking that much off of you and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. And now I'm just like, I can relax a little bit and de-stress a little bit and not have to panic about things. Jumping around on a lot of topics here. Liam, any plans to visit Australia? Yes, actually, yes. We have some friends in Geelong in Melbourne that have came and seen us in the UK, lived with us. We've spent some time with them. I've been to Australia years ago to DJ. I went there, I played in Perth, Melbourne and Sydney, and I did 3 gigs in like 6 days, and it was exhausting. I remember getting back to my desk at Scottish Power on like a Tuesday morning, and the girl that I was sitting next to was like, hey John, how's it going? Do you want a coffee? And I'm like, hey, how's it going, Fiona? What'd you get up to the weekend? She was like, oh, I was in IKEA buying this. What about you? And I was like, I was in Australia. So I'm looking forward to going back, spending a bit of time with some friends. So maybe after Christmas time. And again, it's not too expensive to get from here. And also Japan. If I'd thought about this better, right, if I'd planned this little bit, I would have gone to Japan now to see Oasis, because that would just have been like a proper bucket list thing. But we want to go to Japan, and to give you an idea, from here it's about £300 for the 2 of us to go to Japan. So yeah, we can just build that into our budget and move around. But Mike, it takes time to relax into retirement. It does, and I say retirement, right? Like, I'm doing this as my job, and then I research my stocks and I kind of keep an eye on my portfolio. And I'm also really interested in trying to help other people that want to kind of do the same. So I'm trying to kind of think a little bit about this, like how I can do a bit of like mentorship or just advice on relocating. I sought that out when I was coming here, and I found it useful. And I know what it's like to just want to talk to somebody and ask basic questions like, how did you do this? What did you do with that? Did you have insurance? Where did you fly into? How did the visas work? And I'm building my knowledge. I'm not an expert, but I'm quite good at, I think, hopefully, communication, and I'm very good at research. I've got that kind of brain that likes to sit and look into things. So I'm trying to figure out how I can kind of turn that into something. And again, I'm not trying to build an agency or anything. Just trying to do something that kind of gives me some self-satisfaction and to help others. We've met somebody here who's also relocated from the UK in the last couple of days, who's got a YouTube channel, and she's trying to get it up and running, and I'm trying to help her with it. Just some ideas, things that I've learned from doing this channel. Things like how to set your channel up correctly for YouTube to understand and find it, how to post videos, how to title them, how to kind of go through that process. So I'm helping her out with that, and I've just found that really rewarding the last couple of days. It's just got my brain heading in another direction. Okay, let me scoot back. I retired at 34. Mike, amazing. So I don't know how old you are now, but hopefully you've had enough time to settle into that. There's this theme on YouTube just now where it's like people getting younger and younger in retirement, and I think if you can do it, I would say absolutely. And I know a lot of this is like niche, right? I'm talking to people here that are 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, in all different areas of life. And I recognise that some people will be like, oh yeah, good for you that you can go do that. I get that. I can't give you the answers to life on everything. But if you are sitting there just now going, I want to get out of here, and I might have a way to earn money somewhere else, and I just need to ask a couple of questions, then you are the person that I want to talk to and be able to help. And for everybody else, it's just kind of sharing what these experiences are like. Like, what is it like to sell everything and leave? You know, a question I get asked all the time is, do you miss your stuff? Do you miss things? No. God, no. That's why we're currently getting rid of more things, because I'm like, I've just got so much stuff that I don't need. My essentials, my laptop, I'm talking to you here, little screen. I'm going to lift this up. A microphone that I brought with me that I probably don't really need because I've got my little camera microphone, but this is hopefully just good sound. This little camera that I'm talking to you now, my phone, that's it. See this laptop that I've brought with you? Yvonne's waving at me from over there. Yvonne, of course. This laptop that I've brought with me, I can run, I play occasionally video games, and the laptop it replicates my Xbox. So we were going to bring an Xbox with us, and at the last minute we were like, this is insanity, we're not carrying an Xbox across the world. But the laptop does that, so I'm able to play video games. This apartment has 250 megabyte upload and download speeds included. It's got a TV, we've got YouTube, we've got Netflix, we've got an Amazon Fire Stick. I'm good with all of that. I'm good with all of that. I keep threatening to start one, but honestly, see, when it comes to like starting a YouTube channel and thinking about whether you're exciting or you're boring or whatever else, see if it just gives you like a way to scratch an itch, like just to put something out, make something, and go through the process of actually making something. I can't tell you how, I mean, I find that personally rewarding. I find that really exciting to do that. So if you're just looking, like, again, I would say this, I don't want to give you the impression that you should start a channel because it will give you a way to exit the country. You're going to need more than that. You're going to need some cash behind you, some stability, a way to make money online. And people say this, find a way to make money online. What does that mean? Whatever you think about, you know, if that's having some money that you can invest, if that's that you can do a bit of contracting work online, whatever that is, then think about that. But I don't want to give you the impression it's like, start a YouTube channel, you earn money. I show you the earnings that I get, but it is like this, right? I've just earned £1,000. I am nowhere near £1,000 this month. It's just the ups and downs of it. But I didn't come away from here, from the UK, thinking, I have to be earning £2,000 every month, otherwise we will have to head home. I've done enough calculations to be able to think that we'll be all right if this moves up and down a little bit. But it gives me the drive to be creative and want to make videos and all of that as well. That's what engages with me. What software do you use to edit your YouTube videos? I like the overlap stuff. Honestly, CapCut. So CapCut is a free software which is owned by the company TikTok or ByteDance. You can do super basic editing on it free of charge, and to be completely transparent, I have a paid subscription on it. It was £200 for a year, so it wasn't cheap, but I have used Final Cut, I have used Adobe, I've used most of the main packages. I was mainly using Final Cut, which is about £250, £300 to buy. But when you want to start doing titles and all these kind of things, I found myself like, I need this plugin, I need this plugin, and trying to learn them was just becoming a pain in the butt. And CapCut just had everything built in for a paid subscription. It has sound effects built in, it has all kind of cool stuff built in, and I was like, well, I'll pay the £200. If it gets to the end of the year and it sucks, I'll move back to Final Cut or whatever. I've enjoyed it. It's been really easy to do, so I am using CapCut. Huffy Knickers, know your limits merch coming back. For anybody that doesn't know, Yvonne and I had a kitchen rave that we ran for 4 years called Club Damage, and because we were drinking and doing shots on it, we had a T-shirt range called Know Your Limits, where we tried to say to people, at least know your limits and what you're getting up to. I heard CapCut has changed. Yeah, that admittedly is the case with CapCut. I follow the subreddit for CapCut, and people who have been like OGs on the platform that have been using it for a while are like, this used to be free, that used to be free. Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. 200 quid, I think, do I want to be paying that forever? No, definitely not. But for now, just the quickness of how I can make videos on it. I like being creative on the videos, but I don't want it to be a job. I'm trying to find a balance between the very first ever video that I made was just a walk and talk, one line on the screen to make it, no audio changes, nothing, no cuts, nothing, to where I am now, where I kind of put together some montages and things. I'm trying to find the balance there without being Steven Spielberg. And I don't want to be sitting all day in a hot apartment trying to put together a 10-hour video. So if I can get it done on CapCut and it works for me just now, it works. But I appreciate it's pretty basic on the free package. I've just bought your camera from Kaza. It comes with a little microphone, a little app, which you can definitely. I mean, for those that remember when we were in Northampton, Matt, the homeless guy, I was showing him how to edit his videos on his phone, and I was like, just film on your phone, just start, make something, and then when you're comfortable enough at making something, worry about the rest of it down the line. But yeah, the little camera's great. You can do things on the app as well, so use whatever works for you. All right, let's see what else I can answer for you on here.
Go back to the comments.
Yvonne's telling me off from the bed because I haven't read enough for the comments from this, but even though I've just hit an hour and I said I would do an hour, but Yvonne's just keeping me snappy, she wants to make sure the cash is coming in. Let's see what else I've got on here. I read a great comment from Sean Doing Stuff, who's been following the channel for a while. He's based out in Thailand. He's staying out in Bangkok, and he was talking about the price comparison with his living versus our living, talking about how much cheaper it was. Again, I totally get all of that. There's no simple answer to how you want to live versus how we want to live. I can just show you the choices that we've made. You will find cheaper accommodation. You will eat cheaper in places. You will go out on different nights out than us. And I would say, I mean, when I read the comment from Sean, I was thinking, dude, tell everybody how you're living. You've got a YouTube channel, tell people how you live, share your experience. You've got great content there out of what you've just told me in a comment. But I read it and I was like, yeah, you'll definitely, there's cheaper places to live than this. And for those that have watched the videos, we've eaten pizzas. We've had takeaways. We've been for a steak dinner. Could we eat cheaper? Yes. The street markets, the food is amazing. I just haven't felt comfortable enough walking far a lot of the time. And sometimes we're just lazy. We'll just get to the evening and we're like, let's watch a movie on Netflix and let's order a takeaway. And the things that we've ordered have been really cheap. So like Len's hands is like, go on, make it. I know she should be a moderator. She should be helping out. She should be like channel producer here, and instead of she's over there on her phone telling me to read more questions out from here. Let me see what else. Oh, I saw this one right from Marina, who's been following this channel since the beginning. Right, this made me chuckle. Are you worried that you'll get on each other's nerves being together so much, right? So about Yvonne and I spending so much time together. The fact that we've been, we celebrated 30 years when we were here. Yvonne and I just have spent so long hanging out with each other that we're just comfortable. Like when I make the video tomorrow about the size of this apartment, right, you'll see how big it is. We're basically living in each other's pockets. We just work well when it comes to that kind of thing. We're just compatible. Like I'm the energetic, like wake up in the morning and feel like, I've got to make a video, I've got to get something done, I'm going to lose my mind. And Yvonne's just like, cool, get on with it then. Right, that's just who we are. And Yvonne will just get on with her things and I'll get on with mine. And somebody else asked as well, forgive me for not checking the name, but would Yvonne start her own channel? When I started this channel, I wanted this to be a couples channel. I wanted this to be Yvonne and I leave, and Yvonne was just like, no, I'm not getting involved in that. And the fact that she appears in videos the way that she does, most of the time is me just going, ta-da, surprise, with the camera, like, surprise. And then she has no choice. But most of the time she's like, you just do you. That's your thing. That's what you want to do. But I'm just happy hanging out. So, you know, she'll appear when she appears. Is she going to start a channel? I doubt it. Let me be honest with you. I have about 10 channels. Yeah, about 10. This was the kind of start of all of that. And then I was having so much fun doing it. I was like, oh, I want to do something else over here. And I've just played around with things. Some of them have worked. I mean, the nostalgia bites, right, when I started doing the food thing, I was like, oh, it doesn't really work here. I'll do that over there. But then we were leaving the UK and it's kind of fallen at the wayside, but not dead. You know, just I've had to kind of focus on this and the move to give myself some brain space. But I love just the creativity of all of that. So for people that are like, I'm thinking about starting a channel, but I don't know. God, I've got channels coming out my ears because I'm just like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I give it a go. So don't be afraid. But is Yvonne going to start a channel? I don't see that on the horizon anytime soon. I had one from Arthur Craft who was asking, do you feel safe in KL? I thought that was a good topic to cover. Yes, is the simple part. Look, we've been around some of the outskirts areas that are a bit more shady. It's not perfect here. There's homelessness. There's begging on the streets in certain areas. However, when it comes to safety, I felt immensely safe. To give you an example, right? When we first started moving in here, when we got here and we were in our first kind of like week, I was really struggling with jet lag, and we had new neighbours next door. It was really loud. It was really loud one night, and they had like 2 kids in next door. It's a small apartment, and at about 4 o'clock in the morning, I was like, we need to get up and get out of here for a bit. I was just wide awake. So we came out of the front door of the hotel. Now, just down the street from us is like a bar street. Like when you walk into it, it's just bars at either side. It's like an Ibiza street, right? And it's just staff like that. We walked down that street at 4 o'clock in the morning, and some of the bars were still open, 4 in the morning, right? That gives me the dry heave now when I think about that, being out bevying till 4 in the morning. But we walked down that street, and at the end of that street, there's a little bit of a kind of I would describe as a bit of like a red light area. There's a few kind of massage places. I've had a few offers stolen down there. Good massages, I've been told. But we walked down there at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and nobody batted an eyelid. There was no shouting. There was no like edge of like aggression or anything. People drinking. It was very tame. And I just thought, wow, we've just walked through quite a kind of intense street. You go down there at like midnight, right? You're getting offers to go in for drinks and something to eat and everything else. 4 o'clock in the morning. Felt very safe. Okay, right, well that's been an hour, right? That's been my first kind of live chat, and I haven't answered all of the questions, but hopefully we've just kind of had a bit of free-flowing chat, and it's been kind of good to just try this out. I guess a question that I would ask, and you can message now in the chat, right, is should we do this again? Would it be worth having a kind of regular chat like this where I can answer questions and talk like this? Would that work? You can message below and let me know. Any more Begbie incidents? No, I've kind of dialed that in a little bit. I do feel embarrassed about that, but it was worth telling you the story just because it was just an insane day of feeling like there was a lot of pressure. 4:20 somewhere. Hello mate, how you doing? Thanks very much for joining us, I appreciate that. Let me see if there's anything else. How about grocery shopping? Yeah, and cooking at home. Yeah, there's a couple of convenience stores nearby that we've bought things from. And Yvonne and I have just we've had salads and we've had things delivered. And then we've just made some things here. There's a little kitchen area. There's a little kind of microwave, preparation space in this apartment. And then for things like laundry, we've got it done in the hotel. There's a restaurant in the hotel. There's a coffee shop. There's a little coffee stand outside. Things are really cheap nearby. Like, again, really cheap. What else can I see when I scroll back here? Any plans to enable English subtitles? Asking for a friend. Do you know, and in all seriousness of this, right, YouTube has an auto dubbing feature, and I had it turned on and the views plummeted on the channel, and there was a lot of talk going around that auto dubbing was impacting the videos. So I turned it off and the views returned. So I apologise if my accent's a little thick for you. I do try and tweak it. This isn't my normal Glaswegian accent. All right, anything else that I can ask or answer?
A few donations, thanks.
Have I had that? Oh, if I've had donations from people, I apologise if I've missed that. I'll go through it. So the way that this video will end, I will be able to upload it so people can re-watch this back again. And I'll make sure that I call those donations out in my next video. The next one, the plan is for that to be a review of this accommodation. Let me just quickly see. Let me say this. Last month I bought dinner or shopping for Victoria, and it's time to do that again. So I had a little search through the people that have been interacting and contacting me and just regularly engaging on the channel. So Anne-Marie White, you are the person that I've selected for me to buy you dinner or buy your shopping or whatever, just to kind of give something back, just to say thanks for all the support of this channel. So Anne-Marie, if you're in this chat, if you can drop me an email, it's always on the descriptions. I'll make sure I reach out to you if you're on my Instagram, and I'll arrange that with you. But Anne-Marie White, you are the person that I'm selecting for me to buy you dinner, as just a supporter of this channel and page. What else did I have? And again, thank you to everybody that signed up to the newsletter. I'll just put a bit more context into what we've done. Again, link is in the last video description. I'll be sending that out tomorrow. Thank you to everybody that signed up to it so far. It's just a way for me to share a little bit more context about what I'm working on. So I appreciate that's quite a lot of info we've talked about tonight. Touched on a little bit about stock portfolios and visas and all those kind of things. And I'll go into that more in future videos. You're in the chat. You're in the chat. That's great. All right, awesome. Well, Anne-Marie, I'll get in contact with you, but you are the person that I'm selecting. Balfi, Matt and Daisy, yes, I speak to Matt all the time. He WhatsApps me. We've been chatting back and forth. So just want to also confirm, even though we've moved away from Northampton, we're still very much in contact with Matt. And I enjoy hearing from him about what he's up to. So we've been chatting back and forth as well. Right, everybody. Thank you for everybody that's came and watched here tonight. That's been amazing. 111 people on. We'll do this again. Get a frog in my throat there. We'll do this again. Anne-Marie, thanks for all the support. Thank you to anybody that's given a donation. I'll make sure I call that out. And this will get uploaded. And then we'll move on. And the next time I do a live, I'll answer some more of those questions. But hopefully that's given you a little bit of insight into just what's been going on and what life has been like and how we're planning to kind of live moving forward. So I've no idea how I even turn this off. Look, I need to find the stop button. But thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to go and kind of decompress from all of that now. That was a lot of fun for me chatting to you. And I hope it's been enjoyable for you watching me sitting here at 1 o'clock in the morning. Have a